So, recording beginning now. Welcome to gentle. No, excuse me, not gentle. That was yesterday. Welcome to slow flow. I don't know what day it is. I don't know if I'm coming or going. But I do know that tomorrow I get to be Nana for a whole day. I'm so excited. Shari's going back to work for just one day. She's not going back to work on a regular basis until May, but she's going into the salon tomorrow, and I get to have him for the whole day. Amazing what gives us joy. Marissa's like, yeah, I get it. So good, so good. All right, so I'm going to mute you guys. Just tell me, as usual, how's the music? Is it good? Is it too loud? Good, okay, awesome. All right, so I'm gonna actually ask you to start laying on your backs. So lay on down. I'm going to join you in laying down in a moment, but as you lay down and start to tune inward to your breath, now I'm going to begin by sharing just a very brief reading, something that a friend sent to me, and I feel that it is very worthwhile sharing. And so this is called 6 Little Stories, and they're very, very brief, worth the 30 seconds it takes to read. Number 1. Once, all villagers decided to pray for rain. On the day of prayer, all the people gathered, but only one boy came with an umbrella. That is faith. 2. When you throw babies in the air, they laugh because they know you will catch them. That is trust. Every night, number 3, every night we go to bed without any assurance of being alive the next morning, but still we set the alarms to wake up. That is hope. 4. We plan big things for tomorrow in spite of zero knowledge of the future. That is confidence. 5. We see the world's suffering, but still we get married and we have children. That's love. And 6, on an old man's shirt was written a sentence, I am not 80 years old. I am sweet 16 with 64 years of experience. Yeah. And so just imagine if we lived our lives like these 6 brief stories, with faith and trust and hope and confidence and love. So just take that in here. And I want you to begin to control your breath. You can lay straight out, or you can be in conscious resting pose with the knees bent. And I want you to shape or control your breath on the inhale, but allow your exhale to just come out naturally. Right? It's almost like having that faith that it's going to come out all fine by itself. Control it, shape it nice and fully as you breathe in, and allow as you exhale. Yeah. And so I feel that this is very much in reference to taking action and then surrendering. Take action and then surrender. Do it 3 more times. Allowing you to find some presence. Good. Then I'd like you to contemplate practicing this action of self-compassion. And so we know that we are not perfect, and guess what? We are not supposed to be. So we own our own particular strengths and weaknesses. We own our own particular gifts and our inadequacies. And we do that with compassion. Good. And then if you have your legs completely stretched out, bend the knees and bring the feet to the floor so that you're in conscious resting pose. Maybe even just testing the space between the feet so they're hips distance, heels close to the bottom. Maybe the fingertips can brush the heels. Yeah. And then with your next inhale, just reach your arms up and over your head. All right, so decide here if it feels comfortable to have those arms straight up over your head. Maybe they need to come out a little wider like a V, or even wider like a T. All right, so self-compassion. I know that in our world, in our society, or I should say our culture, we are taught to be kind to our parents, to be kind to neighbors, to be kind to strangers, to be kind to teachers, right? To be kind to those less fortunate than us. But very little parts of our culture teach us to be kind to ourselves. So be sure that you can change something if you need to, right? You can practice that by honoring your body, or maybe offering your body a little bit more of a challenge if you know that's what you need today. And then I'd like you to start to tilt the pelvis a little bit. So we're not coming up into bridge pose, at least not quite yet. I want you to begin by tilting the pelvis so the pubis bone comes a little bit toward the ribs, and then the lower back, or you might even feel the curve in your back, start to flatten out, right? The tailbone lifts just a little bit. Small action. And then slowly tilt it in the other direction. So the tailbone kind of goes down, the hip points kind of tip up, and then you feel that natural curve in the spine again. So start to do that with your breath, right? Inhale, tilting the pelvis, the hip points toward the ribs, the back sort of flattens out a little. And exhale, tilting it in the other direction, creating a little bit of an arch. So it's subtle, but it's aware. And so do it like 2 or 3 more times, just waking up the hips, maybe even waking up the core. As you can notice, your lower belly is what gets activated to make that tilt happen. And the next time you tilt the pelvis so that the hip points come toward the ribs, the tailbone starts to lift. Maybe you lift up a little bit. So it's kind of like a tiny baby bridge. And then you tilt back and you lower it again. So I want you to do that a few rounds each time, bringing the hips up just a little bit higher. So we have this delicious and slow, gradual process making our way into Setu Bandhasana, or bridge pose. So maybe it takes you 3 or 4 rounds to get there. It's kind of like, for some reason, it just made me remember how long it took me to memorize my times tables when I was a kid. And there were some that I still always got stuck on and had to calculate in my head or on my fingers. And so taking your time and being okay with that weakness. I still suck at math. It's just not my strength. Yeah. And so when you find yourself up into the bridge pose next time, I'd like you to hold it there. Notice if the knees are splaying out, create some action in the glutes and the medial glutes, right? The outer part of the hip, to get the hips up as high as you can, and breathe. Right, so notice the muscles that are engaged to activate this pose, right? It's not just the hips and the core, but it's also the legs. Can you push down more into the feet? Good, give me 1 more breath. Notice the chin drawing toward the chest. or the chest drawing toward the chin. One more nice inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to lower the spine and the arms simultaneously. So take your time, lowering, 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 until everything is back down in conscious resting pose. And now we're going to roll bridges just maybe 3, 4, or even 5 times. So use your own breath. Inhaling in the up direction. Exhaling in the down direction. Right? So pay attention to your breath. And maybe the arms don't come all the way up and over. Maybe they stay out or maybe they stay down. Honor your body. Compassion for the self. Right? Good. Next time those arms come down, lift the feet up and draw the knees into the chest. Oh, lengthen the neck and maybe rock and roll a little bit. Yeah, maybe lift that head up and make yourself into a little bowl if that feels good. And then I'd like you to keep your knees lifted, but lower your arms down by your side. All right, good. Then take a nice breath in, straighten the legs up toward the ceiling. Good. And we're gonna just play a little bit here. Bend the knees again and slowly lower the feet so that they come down toward the mat at the exact same time, right? Really, really slowly. It's actually harder than it looks, right? To get them to touch at the same time. So inhale, lift. So we're not using arms, we're just using core. And exhale, straighten legs to ceiling. Inhale, bend knees. Exhale, lower really slowly so you can get both feet to tap down. Just notice what muscles are waking up. Inhale, lift knees to chest. Exhale to ceiling. Inhale, knees bend. And exhale to the floor. Maybe this time you actually don't touch all the way down, you just hover. Yeah, inhale, knees to chest. Exhale, feet to ceiling. Inhale, knees to chest. Exhale, lower to that 1 inch or so hover. Oh yeah. Inhale, knees to chest. Exhale, feet to ceiling. Right, big awareness. You know the pattern now. Do it one more time. Awareness created by paying attention, being in the moment. All right, after that last round, bring those legs back up to the ceiling. Good. And flex those toes, point those toes. Let's wake up the back of the leg a little bit more. Flex and point. So if your lower back were bothering you, or if you felt like you had a really hard time holding the legs up here, you could always wiggle those hands underneath the lower back, right? I like to offer up options as much as possible because this is not a one-size-fits-all practice, right? Now, hold your feet in a pointed position, and as you take a big breath in, you're gonna exhale and slowly lower the legs with straight legs, right? Lower, 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 trying to keep them together. Maybe getting to the point where the heels can tap down. Oh yes, hello core. And then inhale really slowly back up. So if we did this quickly, it would actually be easier, right? So decide if you want to wedge those fingers or thumbs or palms underneath. We're going to take it 2 more times. Slowly, slowly lowering. We're waking up the core. So what lives energetically in the core? That is confidence, Manipura chakra, right? So we can have that confidence to be self-compassionate. Yeah, woo, good. And next time you find those legs coming up, bend the knees, hug them into your chest, and we're going to rock forward and back maybe holding on behind the knees. So if it feels good for your spine, you could do it 2 or 3 times. And what I'd like you to do is make your way, eventually rocking into a boat pose, right? So if you need to come all the way up first and adjust yourself to get into boat pose, that's fine. Or maybe you just try and land in boat pose, right? So boat pose options, right? Feet can be elevated or feet could be down. Hands could be holding under the knees or arms could be extended. Knees could be bent or legs could be straight. Lots of options. I want you to breathe. Do more cycles of breath. Good morning, core. Yeah. Beautiful. And then lower the feet down, bring the body forward and give yourself a hug. Puja. Chin to chest, round the spine. Compassion for the self. Like, it's okay if that was hard. And it's okay if it wasn't hard. All right. Lift that head up and then straighten the legs out in front of you. I'm gonna come this way just so I can see you better. All right, let's wake up the backs of those legs a little bit more. Paschimottanasana, flex the toes. Good, hands at heart center. Sit up nice and tall. On an inhale, reach the arms up. Good, and let's just get a little length side to side. Good. And then center the torso. Bring the arms out like wings. Bend the elbows into cactus arms. Take another big breath in. Exhale, just hinge and hover, like maybe about halfway or so. Ooh, good morning, hamstrings, yeah? Nice. Inhale, lift the torso back up. And exhale, hinge again. Feet are flexed. Knees can have a soft bend or a big bend if you need it. Inhale, rise back up. One more time. Exhale, hinge and fold. This time you can take the hands, bring them onto the legs. Maybe extend them closer toward the feet and forward fold. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Take 2 or 3 breaths here. And then before you rise up, I'd like you to keep your body folded in, but just lift your chin up. Look toward the toes, lengthen the spine. Good. Maybe engaging the core again by reaching the arms forward, and with an inhale, rise up with straight arms, nice and slowly. Good, bringing the arms down by your sides and then slightly back behind you. Point the toes. Good, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift the heart a little, nice. And then you can try and lift those hips up off the ground, taking a reverse plank pose. Head maybe relaxes back behind you. Arms strong, legs strong, core strong. Compassion strong. This is hard stuff. How's your breath? Good. Slowly, slowly lowering everything down. Good. And then we're going to bend the knees and shift into a tabletop position. Something familiar. Something that you can trust. Yeah? Good old tabletop. Good. Take a moment here to come back to that little pelvic tilt. So it's not a huge like cat and cow, but just a little pelvic tilt so that the pubic bone tips upward toward the ribs, just like it did when you got that more of a flat back when you were in bridge position. Spread the fingers wide, take a nice breath in. Exhale, pull the hips all the way back to a child's pose. Stretch out side body, back body, let your head go. Good. Inhale, lift the head, look forward. Rock the body into that table, tuck your toes under, and float the knees just an inch or 2. Woo! All right, let's find Jalandhara Bandha. So chin to chest, look toward that belly.
right? Don't beat yourself up if it's looking not exactly the way you would like it to look. Yeah. Confidence right here. Confidence and the ability to acknowledge your strengths and acknowledge your weaknesses. So if you need to come out sooner, by all means do so. Maybe you can give me 2 more breaths. Or I should say, maybe you can give yourself 2 more breaths. After that second exhale, lower the knees, untuck the toes. Child's pose, hips to heels, head to floor. Looking good. Breathe. Nice. And then let's rock the body forward. Bring the hands a little further forward. Let's stretch that belly that's been working so hard. Hips coming down toward the mat, head rising up, a nice high cobra pose. Big stretch in that belly. Oh, so good. And then tuck the toes under and really slowly see if you could just lift the kneecaps and then pull that body up into a plank pose, right? So plank pose can always look like knees down, or plank pose could even be table, right? So I know I offer up and remind us of those modifications or variations all the time. Do you take it when you need it? Good. Give me 1 more breath. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Nice. So find some stillness in your down dog first, right? Compose yourself, breathe. And then maybe begin to explore, bending and pressing, opposite knees and heels, stretching out a little bit more. Beautiful. All right. And then center yourself, lift and elevate your heels, look forward, rock your body into a plank pose. Good. All right, we're gonna lower down to forearms. Take your time, 1 forearm at a time, forearm plank, right? You could interlace the fingers if that feels better for you, or you can have the palms facing down. Try not to have that tushy sticking up too much. Try not to have that tushy or that belly sagging down too much. Use your legs. If you need to release your knees sooner, do so. Engaging and waking up core. Engaging and waking up self-compassion. 1 more breath in. And exhale, come back up to those palms. Woohoo! Press back, downward facing dog. Oh, hallelujah. Now down dog seems like really like a resting pose, doesn't it? So good, so good. All right. Let's slowly lift up that right leg. And you can open up the hip here a little, pointing the toes up toward the ceiling, lowering that left heel down, maybe circling that right foot, maybe bending the knee, right? Maybe circling the whole hip by like making circles with your knee. Beautiful. And then square off the hips, look forward, bend that knee into the belly and step that right foot next to the right thumb. This is a really good place for blocks. I like to use blocks here when I do a lunge pose, so if you have them, maybe you choose them. All right, so lower that left knee. Lower that left knee. Yes. All right, compassion. We don't have to go to the strongest, most challenging point, the first moment out of the gate. But notice if that right knee is kind of flailing out to the right at all, can you push down into the big toe mound of that right foot? Come up on the fingertips, and then with an in-breath, reach the arms up. Good, and find your way into Anjasana, or a low crescent lunge. Yeah. Okay, so while you're here, can you come back to paying attention to that hip, that pelvis region? So just like we did in the bridge pose, but it's not gonna go too far here, a slight tilt. Lift the pubis bone up a little bit toward the ribs, knitting the ribs in a little bit, strengthening the core, and opening the hip flexor. Yeah. So that iliopsoas muscle, that hip flexor, is actually a core muscle. How's your breath? Good. And then slowly, slowly we come down, hands frame the foot. Beautiful. And then keep the left hand on the floor. Reach the right arm forward. Keep the gaze down toward the right toes. With an inhale, reach the right arm up to the ceiling. Sweep it back behind you, down by your side, and then up and forward again. So circles here. Notice how it feels to create the circles. Keep moving. When your gaze is down at your foot, it feels different than when your gaze follows. So maybe you choose to try it, lifting the eyes, the head, the chin, and follow that circle. All right, so what feels good for you? Beautiful. And the next time that right arm finds its way up toward the ceiling, hold there, tuck the left toes under, lift the left knee, and see if you can rotate into a revolving, twisting posture. Good, looking good. Breath in and breath out. Beautiful. One more. Exhale, right hand comes down and left foot steps up to meet the right. Forward fold. Good, fingers on shins. Inhale, halfway, lift up, lengthen. Exhale, fold deeply. Sweep the arms out and rise on up, catching those hands at the top. Good, interlace the fingers, turn the palms inside out, and lean to the left. Good. Inhale, center. Exhale, lean to the right. Good. Inhale, center. Exhale, release those hands down by your side. Beautiful. When you are ready, inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Fingers on your shins, halfway. Lift and lengthen, rock a little weight into those toes, trust yourself. Exhale, fold back in. Good. Hands on the floor or your blocks. Step back to your plank pose. All right, organize your plank. Strong here, beautiful. Slowly letting the hips start to come down, the head and the chest rise up. Maybe you can let those knees release, untuck the toes, bend the elbows, and really slowly let the upper thighs come down. Feel the pubis bone coming down, the navel, the ribs, the breasts, and then the head. Oh, good. So you're in cobra prep position. Lengthen your legs back a little bit longer. Fingertips in line with the nipple line. Squeeze those elbows in by the ribs. And squeeze the shoulder blades, draw the shoulders away from the ears. With an inhale, lift head and chest, just a baby cobra. Push into the tops of the feet. And exhale, come back down. Good. All right, now tuck your toes under. Lift the head slightly. Lift the kneecaps. Take a really good breath in. And as you exhale, push yourself into a plank. Woo! Maybe you need to be in table with the knees down. Do the best you can. Big inhale. Exhale, press back, downward dog. Woo! Good. All right, then we're gonna lift that left leg and point the toes up to the ceiling. And just find your movement here, right? Bend knees, circle hips, circle ankle, wiggle toes. Just open, try to get that right heel to kind of reach toward the floor, opening the back of the right leg a little. And the operative word is toward, right? It is a direction, not a destination. Good. All right. And then square off those hips. Bend the knee into the belly, look forward, rock forward, and place that left foot next to the left thumb. Lower down that right knee, untuck the toes, come up on the tips of the fingers. Oh, good morning, low lunge on the opposite side. When you're ready, an in-breath will sweep the arms forward and up. Okay, so knit those ribs in again, right? Lifting the pubis bone up toward those ribs. They're kind of coming in toward each other. Feel that nice awakening in the right hip flexor. Good. How's your breathing? Nicely done. One more. And then exhale slowly. Hands come down. Remember, you can be on blocks or not. All right, we're going to keep that right hand down on the floor, and left arm is going to extend forward, bicep muscle by the ear. Start by gazing down toward the left toes. Inhale, left arm comes up. Exhale, sweep it back to the back part of your mat, and then down by your leg, and sweep it forward and up again. So circles here, and maybe you feel like it's really good to continue looking down at the left toes, or maybe you're like, no, I'm gonna follow, I'm gonna gaze up, letting that whole upper body become part of this mindful movement. You guys look so good. All right, the next time you find that arm in the up position, hold it there, tuck the right toes under, lift that right knee, and see how you feel in this lunge position with a twist, right? You could keep that knee down if you needed to or wanted to. No judgment. Can you give me 2 or 3 more breaths? Notice if you're collapsing all of your body weight into that right hand, maybe you get a little lighter on the right fingertips. Use your core a little more and breathe. So good, so good. And then an exhalation. We'll bring that left hand down. Beautiful. And the right foot steps up to meet the left, and we find ourselves in a forward fold. So just hang here in a forward fold. Choose a way that feels comforting for you. You might let the arms dangle. Maybe backs of hands on the floor, maybe opposite elbow grab, maybe holding onto the back of the calf. All right, what feels good for you here? Breathe. Good. All right, a little soft bend in the knees. Sweep the arms out, rise on up. Urdhva Hastasana, and exhale, hands to the heart, Samastitihi. Take a good breath in through the nose, shape it, and just let it come out naturally. Beautiful, one more time. Shape and control the breath on the inhale. Surrender on the exhale. Good. Take action and surrender. Beautiful. Next inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Fingers to your shins, halfway, lift up and lengthen. And exhale, fold. Let's step back to a plank pose. Organize the plank. Beautiful. Take another breath in. And as you exhale, slowly, hips start to come down. Right, head and chest lift up. And then maybe the knees can come down really slowly, untuck the toes, and then peeling the body onto the mat. Upper thighs, pubis bone, navel, ribs, chest, head. Good. Pause here. Elbows squeezing by the ribs, maybe lengthening the back of the legs a little more. Push into the toenails. Inhale, lift, baby cobra. Maybe you go a little higher than before. And exhale, lower. Good. Tuck toes under. Lift kneecaps. Take a big breath in. Exhale, push straight back into a plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. One nice little flow. All right, we're gonna let that right leg lift up again. Open up the hip again if it feels good. Maybe even bending the knee and looking under your left armpit. See if you can see those right toes. Wiggle them, say hello. Toes, yeah. And then square off. This time we're gonna step that right foot to the outside of the right pinky, right? So it's a wider step, a lizard position. And let's start first by lowering the left knee, okay? So if you have a lot of flexibility here, you might have a tendency to just let that right knee kind of right out to the side. I want it to be active. So see if you can get that right knee to make some kind of connection to that right arm. Maybe it touches the shoulder or the tricep muscle. Push down into the big toe mound of that right foot. Spread the fingers wide, good. And then see here, if you can, lift that left knee again. Active lizard lunge. Squeezing to the midline, right? Giving yourself that sense of security, that faith, that trust, that hope, that love, that confidence. Beautiful. Now you could stay right here, or you can see some of you are able to lower those forearms down to the mat. But now notice what happens when you lower the forearms. You can use blocks, by the way, which I'm going to use right here. And notice what happens when you lower the forearms down. A lot of times it becomes much harder to keep that connection with that right leg into that right arm. Try your best. Breathe. Self-compassion. This is not an easy thing to do. Yeah. You could always lower that left knee if you needed. Yeah, one more breath. And now exhale, lower the knee, come back up to the palms. And now we're going to turn those right toes out slightly so they have a little bit of an angle. And now purposely let that right knee open out a little. Yeah. So although we're letting this kind of flexibility come in here, the right knee is relaxing out to the right, I still want you to be strong in the core. So remember that little pelvic tilt? Do it again here. So the pubis bone just comes up ever so slightly. It may look like a millimeter, right? You could even take that right hand onto that right thigh and push down and forward and take a little twist here, looking over that right shoulder. All right, option, not mandatory. You could bend that left leg, right? Bringing that left foot toward the body, maybe reaching around. That doesn't feel accessible for me because of my left knee, so I'm not going to do it. But maybe it feels really good for you. Compassion. So good. And then when you're ready, release the knee and release the foot if you're holding it. Bringing yourself out of this twist. Right hand comes down. Left toes tuck, left knee lifts. Good, and let's step that left foot up to meet the right. Forward fold again. Woo, yeah. Neutralize here. Fingers to shins, inhale. Halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale, fold. Good. Let's step that left foot back into pyramid pose. So it doesn't go that far. Right, it's about maybe, on me, it's about a foot and a half or so, right? So pyramid pose, as a reminder, is both legs straight and both feet flat, right? Both feet pointing forward, maybe the back foot slightly angled. Yeah, you can use blocks or come up on fingertips. And if you need to keep a bend in that right knee, do so. And then bring your hands to your hips. Right, notice here how much strength it takes to stay stable. Push down to rise up with an inhale. Woo, yeah, good. Right, so feet are hips distance, feet are flat, legs are straight. It's not much different than just standing on your own 2 feet. But yes, in fact, it feels much different. Be kind and compassionate. Inhale, reach both arms forward and up. Good, exhale, arms out like wings. Bend those elbows into cactus arms. Another big breath in. Exhale, hinge and hover. right? Maybe about halfway, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. Good, looking toward those right toes. Notice now you probably have a lot more weight in the right toes than you do in the left. Try to balance it out. Notice if that right hip is coming forward, can you pull it back a little, square off the hips and breathe. Good, inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, hinge again, hover halfway, this time bicep muscles by the ears. If it was easier or more comfortable for you to have the arms out like to the side in cactus or wings or even hands at heart center, you can do that too. How's your breath? Good, and then slow as you can, making your way with hands to the floor, right, or blocks. And then just fold yourself in, allow this to be a nice place to stretch and breathe, not aggressive, but active and aware. We have a tendency to let the right hip kind of come forward, coming out of that leg. Try to square off if it's available. Good. And then soften the right knee and step the left foot up to meet the right. Fingers to shins, inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Soft knees, sweep the arms out, rise on up. A beautiful sun circle over the head. And exhale, hands to the heart. Good, pause in Samasthiti. See if you can find that little lift of the pubis bone. Again, little knitting in of the ribs. So you stand tall and confident. Good. On an in-breath, arms reach up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Good, step back to your plank pose. All right, been here before, it's familiar. Each time we do postures or sequences, they get a little bit more familiar. Keep the toes tucked, start to lower the hips down, lift the head and the chest, and Ashtanga up dog here. Yeah, and then lower the knees down, untuck the toes, elbows bend, and really slowly, like you're peeling in reverse, right? Lower the upper thighs, feel the pubis bone, feel the navel, the ribs, the breasts, and the head. Good, lengthen the legs back a little longer, push into the tops of the feet, engage the arms and the shoulders. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, lower. Tuck toes under, lift kneecaps. Push into the palms, right back into that plank pose. Woo! And press back, downward facing dog. Yeah, Sweet 16 with 64 years of experience. I know I'm not there yet, but each one of us has many years of experience. Yeah. And then we're gonna lift that left leg. All right, we're finding our way into that lizard lunge on the other side. So bend that left knee, look forward and step that left foot to the outside of that left pinky, lower the right knee, and just take a moment. Right, and take a moment to feel the connection between the left knee and the left arm. Maybe this side feels a little more or a little less accessible, don't know. Right, so start hugging into the midline. Good. A couple of good breaths, tuck those right toes under, lift that right knee. You could always keep it down if needed. And work on hugging into the midline. So this is a practice of strength here before we enter into the posture of flexibility. So it's quite amazing that the same pose, right, this lizard lunge, has the ability to do both. All right, so here's that opportunity to see if you're able to lower down to the forearms. You can bring that right knee down. You can use blocks if you want, or you don't have to at all. If you're able to get down to the forearms, can you do so and still keep that connection? That left leg, that left knee hugging into that left tricep muscle. Oh, not so easy. Maybe you lift that right knee again and make your breath a priority. See if you can give me 2 or 3 more. You can always come out sooner if you need. Beautiful. And then slowly lower the knee if it was elevated. Hands come back to palms on the floor. Yeah, and then turn those left toes slightly out on an angle. Let that left knee kind of relax, open a little. Beautiful. So although we're letting that hip kind of open and the inseam of the leg kind of open, let's still get some strength in the core. Little lift of the pubis bone toward the ribs. And you can take that left hand to that left thigh, pushing down and forward, coming into a nice twist here. Oh, heaven, yeah? Breath in and breath out. All right, so option, maybe if it worked on the first side, it'll work on the second side, or maybe if it didn't work on the first side, it'll work on the second side. You can bend that right knee, reach that left arm back and around, grabbing onto that foot, take an amazing quadricep stretch, right? Don't force it if it's not available for you today. Compassionate to yourself. Perfectly imperfect. Okay. If you have that foot held, release it gently. Bring that left arm back and around. Tuck right toes under, lift right knee. Good, and step right foot up to meet the left. Forward fold. Good. Fingers to shins. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, fold. Good. All right, now we're going to step that left foot back into the pyramid feet. All right, so take your time finding the pyramid feet. Reminder, hips distance, both knees straight and both feet flat. Yeah, it could be shorter or longer. Depends on your anatomy. And then really push down into the big toe mounds. And then bring the hands to the hips. Keep yourself folded in. Right, notice how much strength it takes to keep yourself here. And then we're gonna push down to rise on up. Rise on up. Woo, okay. Inhale, arms reach up. Maybe we lean back a little if it feels good. And exhale, arms out like wings. Bend those elbows, cactus arms. Beautiful. Big breath in. Exhale, hinge forward, hover. Maybe you come to a halfway point, gazing down toward the left toes. All right, notice if most of the body weight is now going into that left foot. Can you ground down through the right, square off the hips, keep equal rooting. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Good. Inhale, arms reach up. Biceps by ears. Lift the pubis bone. Strong in the core. Use an exhalation to hinge and hover. Looking down to the left toes. Stopping at maybe a halfway point. You could always change the arms. Yeah. Good. Breath in. And breath out. And then slowly, slowly lowering down into a full forward fold with pyramid legs. Hands can come to the floor or blocks. Let your head go. Any hand position that works for you here is wonderful. 2 or 3 more breaths. So good. And then a little softness to that left knee. And then stepping that right foot up to meet the left. Fingers to shins. Inhale, halfway. Lift and lengthen. And exhale, fold. Sweep the arms out, rise on up, gather all that goodness, and draw it right to your heart center. Well done. All right, flowing, familiar repetition, right? Know what you know about yourself, and also maybe be willing to transform who you have known yourself to be. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Fingers to your shins, lengthen, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Good, hands to the floor, step back, plank pose. Good, organize that plank, strong here. And slowly, as you exhale, those hips come down, and then let the knees touch, untuck the toes. Slowly peeling in the opposite direction, elbows bend, thighs touch. Pubis bone touches, belly button, ribs, chest, and forehead. Good. Stretch the legs a little longer, push into the tops of the feet. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, lower. Tuck toes under, lift kneecaps, lift thighs, big breath in. Exhale, push straight back up, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. So good. Beautiful. Release to your knees. Come into a child's pose. Choose the arm position or the leg position that serves you. Maybe right now it feels really good to have the belly on the thighs and the knees touching, or maybe you feel more comfortable with knees wide and the belly spilling within between the knees. Arms could be forward or back. Take at least 3 breaths here. And when you're ready, slowly sitting yourself up onto those heels for a moment, hero's pose, hands come to heart center. Beautiful. Pause and breathe. Is it possible that you have spent so much time in your life, in your inner critic, in yourself, telling yourself something that is actually really not kind and not true? And so we practice forgiveness, slowly releasing the hands, and then hips off to one side. Sweep your legs around to the front of your mat. Good. And soles of feet on the floor, knees bent, hold on behind the knees, lean back. Lift your heart up, draw the shoulders back and down. Oh yeah, one last opportunity for boat pose. Maybe you keep the heels down and lift the toes. Maybe you lift the feet. Maybe you release the arms. Maybe even take peace fingers, find your way to those big toes. Straighten those legs out in front of you. Get a really nice engaged boat. With those open hamstrings and strong core. Good. Gently soften knees. When you're ready to release, slowly, slowly lower back down. Woo, stretch the legs all the way out. Yeah. And then take a really good stretch. That belly is working strong today. So point the toes, reach the arms up and over the head, elongate that body. Let that natural curve be in the spine. Beautiful. And then arms come down and knees come up, hug it in again. Maybe rock a little side to side. Good. And so let's take a butterfly pose. Soles of the feet together, knees open wide. Good. Arms up and over the head, maybe cactus, maybe wings, maybe wrist or finger hold. Yeah, so really most of what we did today was really deep internal rotation. So I think it could feel really nice here to have the inseams of the legs open. And you come back to that shaping of your inhale and allowing your exhale. Take action and surrender. Beautiful. And then slowly bring your arms down by your side and hands onto your belly. Close those knees up. Walk the feet, hips wider than your hips, like as wide as your mat. And then let the knees kind of relax in toward each other. Good. Just take that reverse action for a breath or two. Beautiful. Then we're gonna come into a windshield wiper twist. So keep the feet as wide as your mat, open the knees, right? And then let both knees relax to the left. Yeah, good. Take that right arm, lift it up and over your head so you get this really nice elongation on the whole right side of your body. You might even turn your head to the right as your knees go to the left. Just feel it from that right knee to that right armpit, maybe even to the pinky fingers. Slowly allow the head to come to center, the right arm back to the torso. Inhale the knees back up and pause and center. Check to make sure that the feet are still as wide as your mat. Take a nice inhale. As you exhale, let your knees go to the right. Left arm lifts up. Turn the head to the left and just pause and breathe. Right hand stays on belly. Yeah, shape the inhale. Allow the exhale. Good. Bring the head back to the center first. Left arm back to the torso. Inhale, knees come back up. Good. Keeping the feet nice and wide. Slide them down your mat. And bring your arms down by your side, but separate them from the body. Fingers curl naturally, palms face upward. Beautiful. Take one last shaped breath here. Big inhale, fill up. And allow that exhale to come out on its own. Relax the jaw. Let your whole body surrender. And so for the next minute or two, We find stillness and observation. Feel ready. Begin to shape the breath again. Taking a few nice inhales and exhales before you move. And you might wiggle your fingers or your toes. Circle the ankles or the wrists. Slide those legs closer together. Reach the arms up and over the head and stretch once again. And bending the knees, rocking your body onto your side, your favorite side. And taking your time, coming back up to a seated position. And bringing your hands to your heart center. Om Shanti, 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 He. Om peace, peace, peace. May you have faith and trust and hope and confidence and love in taking action to giving yourself that compassion and then surrendering. Thank you so very much to each one of you for coming out to practice with me today, for sharing your beautiful energy with me and with each other. And as always, thank you so very much for trusting me to guide you through this ancient and most magical practice we call yoga. Have a wonderful and wise Wednesday. Namaste. So good, guys.